Okay, let's dive right into this. If you've been paying any attention to how the modern web is being built lately, you know things are shifting, and they are shifting fast. Today, we're unpacking a framework that is literally redefining full-stack React development. We're talking about Next.js. We're going to look at exactly why this tool is making such massive waves and how it's totally changing the developer experience from the ground up.
I mean, look at this quote. It hits the nail on the head, right? Web development is in constant flux. If you know traditional React, you know it's a powerhouse, but it used to lean really heavily on client-side processing. Basically, the user's browser had to do a ton of heavy lifting just to show a simple page. Next.js, it's an evolutionary leap. It completely rethinks where and when that heavy processing actually happens, which supercharges performance and just makes life so much easier for developers.
Here is our roadmap to demystify all this. First, server-side rendering, or SSR. Second, static generation. Third, performance optimization. And finally, we'll hit some of the most common Next.js developer FAQs. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Server-side rendering, SSR explained.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how it flips the traditional model completely upside down. Think of SSR like buying pre-assembled furniture. In the old client-side rendering days, you handed the user's browser a box of loose parts and instruction manual. It took time and effort for their device to build the page before they could even see it. But with SSR, the server builds the furniture for you. It delivers a fully built, fully rendered web page instantly. The user gets to sit on the couch immediately rather than fumbling with an Allen wrench, you know?
And the advantages here are massive. Because the page is already rendered on the server, you get a phenomenally faster initial page load. Naturally, that translates directly to a way smoother user experience. But here is the real kicker: SEO. Search engines like Google, they can easily crawl and index these pre-rendered pages, which is absolutely crucial for your visibility. Plus, Next.js does all of this while still letting you handle dynamic data on the fly. You're getting all the speed without sacrificing any of the flexibility.
So how does Next.js actually pull this off under the hood? Well, they give developers this specific function called getServerSideProps. It does exactly what it sounds like. Whenever a user clicks a link, this function runs right then and there on the server for that specific request. It fetches the required data and pre-renders the page before sending it over. This guarantees your users get a fully rendered, completely up-to-date page instantly.
Section 2. Static generation. Pre-rendering pages. But hold on. What if your content doesn't actually change on every single click? That's where static generation comes in. This is the absolute ideal setup for content that basically stays the same. Think company blogs, marketing landing pages, or help docs. Instead of the server working to render the page every single time someone visits, the page is pre-rendered way in advance at build time. It basically just creates static HTML files before the user even knows they want to visit the site.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core difference between our first two pillars. It really comes down to timing. SSR is dynamic speed on request. It builds the page right when the user asks for it. Static generation, though, that's absolute speed at build time. The page was built hours, maybe days ago, and it's just sitting there, waiting as a lightweight HTML file. And the beauty of Next.js is that you can mix and match these methods depending on the exact page you're building.
The perks of going static are pretty wild. Because you're literally just handing over a pre-built static file, load times are blazing fast. I mean, we're talking near instantaneous. And fast sites mean higher engagement rates, period. It also massively reduces your server load, since the server isn't really doing any dynamic thinking. Oh, and security? Way better. Since there's no dynamic database processing happening on the request, there are just far fewer vulnerabilities for malicious actors to target.
Just like with SSR, Next.js gives you specific tools for the job here. It uses getStaticProps to grab your data during the build process and a function called getStaticPaths to map out exactly which dynamic routes need to be created. These two work perfectly together behind the scenes to make sure every page you need is ready to go as a lightning-fast static file.
Section 3. Performance Optimization. Built-in speed.
Let's move on and see how this all builds together, because Next.js has a bunch of magic tricks under the hood to squeeze out every ounce of speed. First off, automatic code splitting. This ensures the browser only loads the code it actually needs for that specific page. Then there's built-in image optimization. It automatically serves images in modern, highly compressed formats like WebP and resizes them based on whatever screen the user has. It also minifies your CSS and JavaScript files for you. Oh, and my favorite, prefetching. It quietly loads linked pages in the background before the user even clicks them. It's almost like it reads their mind.
When you stack all these automated optimizations together, the image resizing, the code splitting, the prefetching, the ultimate goal is a seamless, engaging, and just completely instantaneous user experience. It makes interactions so responsive that users don't get frustrated, which means they actually stick around instead of bouncing to another site.
Section 4. Next.js Developer FAQs. Common questions.
All right, so we've covered the architecture. Let's tackle some real-world developer questions to see if this framework makes sense for you. The biggest one we hear is, what actually makes Next.js different from all the other React frameworks out there? Why pick this one?
The crucial point here is convenience. It's a real game changer because all of those incredible features we just talked about, the SSR, the static generation, the crazy performance optimizations, they are all just built right in. You get this phenomenal out-of-the-box experience with minimal configuration. It means you actually get to spend your time building your app, not pulling your hair out over complex setup files.
Okay, here's a slightly more technical one. How does Next.js handle routing? Like, how are your pages and navigation actually organized compared to the standard React way of doing things?
It's actually super simple. Next.js uses an intuitive file-based routing system. Basically, you just drop a file into a specific folder called the Pages directory, and boom! Next.js automatically creates that route for you. No extra code required. It's way more intuitive and involves so much less manual setup than traditional routing.
Now, what if you're a beginner? Maybe you just finished a bootcamp and you're wondering, do I need to be a total React master before I even touch Next.js?
You absolutely don't. The short answer is a very reassuring no. Next.js is literally designed to abstract all that underlying complexity away from you. Honestly, just having a basic grasp of React is enough to start building some incredibly versatile applications, whether it's just a weekend side project or a huge enterprise app. So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a slightly provocative thought. The source highlights that while Next.js is built for the web, its insane performance optimizations and instant load times really blur the lines. It makes you wonder, with responsive design and sub-second rendering, can a web app truly feel indistinguishable from a native mobile app? Well, thanks to frameworks like Next.js pushing the boundaries, the answer is increasingly yes. Now it's up to you to go build something awesome with it.